I think the best way to start when we're talking about Tau is talking about gun drones, because that's their go-to, just drone spam, specifically with gun drones and one recon drone, I guess. Yeah, no, because he's got the 2 wounds, but he's basically identical to the gun drone.
Yeah, it's kind of the bread and butter for the Tau.
Yeah,
just kind of drones in general.
Yeah,
are where we would look first when kind of taking a look at what's important for them and how they're being utilized in the meta competitively. I mean, you don't see too much diversification of Tau strategies in competitive tournaments.
No, minor adjustments here and there. And if we're talking about open board kill team, we're not talking arena.
Yes, arena. I know that arena is a little different for Tau.
It's different. You take less drones because you need bodies to open doors for the drones.
Correct. So, I mean, are we going to go over how are we doing this? We're going to look at the model profiles, or are we going to start with tactics, or what are we thinking here?
I guess we'll just talk about the stat line for the gun drone first.
Okay. The gun drone itself.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite.
It's the only drone you should be running in kill team.
You think so?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because remember the first game of Tau that I played against you, you'd taken your orcs, right?
Yes.
And so I had made one of my drones a grav drone, and they make any sort of unit that any enemy model that charges within a certain distance of them, it takes like -3 to their charge or whatever. So I'm like, oh, well, stick them in the middle of the board, and then all the orcs, like, they can try charging, because it was on the short deployments, you know what I mean? And so I'm like, yeah, we'll stick them in the middle of the board. All these orcs, they're going to take -3 to their charge. None of them are going to be able to get to any of my juicy railgunners or my other pathfinders, and then they'll just be stuck out in the open, and I'll blast them off the table. And
backfired
completely, because what you did was you charged all of them into the grav drone,
a nice juicy bridge,
and then and then I couldn't shoot any of them because they're all locked in close combat with this drone.
Yes,
and so I'm like, well, that's literally the game right there.
Yeah, I think I had about 8 or 9 orcs charge that one
all
drone,
around the one grav drone, yeah,
in the middle of the map.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
I would say there has to be some value, though, to the 2 wound drones.
Oh, the recon drone, yeah.
The recon.
No, you do want to take a recon drone, just because of the 2 wounds, and they're the same price as the Tau gun drone. Still get the same amount of shots, still the same range. So it's like, why wouldn't you? There's no reason not to.
Yes, I see what you're saying there.
Okay, so the Tau gun drone, it's got a 8-inch movement. It's got 5-up weapon skill, 5-up ballistic skill. It is strength 3. I'm reading this out of the core book. That actually might not be true.
The strength 3?
Yeah.
I believe that's the same.
I know they did FAQ it a little bit. I think it's strength 3.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Toughness 4. 1 wound, 1 attack, 6 leadership, and a 4-up save.
And it flies.
And it flies.
Which is lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. So because of the fly keyword, anytime they're in close combat, they can just fall back out of it, and they can shoot. I didn't even talk about their guns yet.
No.
Yeah. So the gun drone is armed with 2 pulse carbines, I think they're called. They have 18-inch range. They're assault 2. And so because the drone has 2 of them, it's firing 4 shots.
Well, we should talk about the nuance of being able to fire, of having 2 separate pulse. What is it called?
Pulse carbines?
Pulse carbines?
Yeah.
Of having 2 of them, but that basically means that you could essentially you could hypothetically target 2 separate models if you want, with 2 different attacks.
True.
Usually it's probably better to put all 4 of those shots in one target.
Yeah, because of their 5-up weapon skill.
Yes.
So, I mean, very often you're just fishing for 6s because they already have that. Because of 5 up, if you're shooting an obscured model, you're going to be hitting on 6s anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, more often than not, unless you manta ray 3 of them into an enemy's deployment zone, which is their like deep strike tactic, then you're going to be hitting on 5s. But they're shooting so many shots.
And also, I feel like we shouldn't overlook the most important part is that these are 7-point models to bring into a list.
Yeah.
Which is, see, this is where my own personal bias comes in, because when we were talking about Necrons a few episodes ago, I had kind of a giddy excitement when talking about how good they are. But when I'm talking about drones right now in Tau, I just feel pure, I guess, disdain. And
I mean, it's fair.
They bother me so much. I don't have that same level of excitement when talking about this. That 7 points to me, I think, it's too cheap.
It's far too cheap for what they can do in Kill Team.
They fly.
They fly with an 8-inch movement.
Yes.
And their weapon, they're shooting so many shots, and their weapon skill is already like you need a 5 to hit an unobscured target. They're armed with assault weapons with an 18-inch range. There's literally no reason to not be advancing these guys, in my opinion. And when you couple that 8-inch range with potentially they can move a max of 14 inches?
Yes.
Yeah. So they can just fly all over.
We should also talk about the kind of the connecting pieces that allow Tau to work as a team.
Yeah.
That being, I'd say the two most important are For the Greater Good and Savior Protocols, both of which drones are vital to. Yeah, I would say.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't get Savior Protocols without a drone.
So here's why the drones, the real kicker for me of why they're so excessive. It's For the Greater Good. Do you want to go ahead and explain that for our unaware listeners?
Yeah. So For the Greater Good, basically what it does is whenever a Tau model is charged, any Tau model within 6 inches of the model being charged that has line of sight on the model that is making the charge can fire Overwatch as if they were being charged.
Yeah. So when you have these 4-shot Tau drones that are super cheap and are kind of surrounding and almost kind of bubble wrapping a
like each other
Pathfinder, or each other.
Yeah.
If you want to charge one, you're essentially going to face almost a minimum, usually, of 8 Overwatch shots.
Yeah.
The one downside to it is once a model has Overwatched with For the Greater Good, they cannot Overwatch again for the rest of the battle round.
Yeah. So a Tau player does need to pick and choose.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just works so well.
And couple that with the tactic or the sub faction that Tau gets that allows them
Tau.
Yes, Tau. That allows them to succeed on Overwatch attempts on a 5 or a 6.
5 or a 6, yeah.
Just a 6.
So they are
lots of shots, and they're strength 5 shots also.
Yeah.
Coming through, hitting on 5s or 6s. It makes it very difficult to charge Tau, which is where they are worse, is close combat.
Yeah.
And then Savior Protocols, whenever you force a injury roll, essentially, I believe, for a Tau model, if there's I think this only works for drones. If there's a drone within 3 inches, they can take a mortal wound instead of the...
So it needs to be a Tau battle suit or a Tau infantry model that is about to be wounded.
Okay. So they cannot Savior Protocol for other drones.
No, they can't Savior Protocol for each other, but they can Savior Protocol for your Pathfinder railgunners and your Pathfinders and then your Fire Warriors, whatever. Any Tau infantry model or any Tau battle suit. So your crisis suits and your stealth suits.
So the order of operations essentially is you shoot at a Pathfinder gunner, which is, we'll get into them later, but they're kind of the most heavy-hitting Tau models. They're long-range, very good shooters. You shoot at one of them, let's say, and you force a save. The Pathfinder gunner gets to attempt the save, and if it fails, and there is a drone within 3 inches.
Yep.
The drone can use savior protocols for free. This doesn't cost any command points.
Mm-hmm.
And they can take a mortal wound, essentially blocking the injury roll that was going to happen to the Pathfinder.
Yeah, so instead of the model that is the target of the attack, instead of them being forced to the injury roll, you instead put 1 mortal wound onto a drone.
Yes.
And then you still got an injury roll that.
Yeah. And then if it's a recon drone with 2 wounds, that's just a whole nother layer of protection.
Can you sense the frustration in Shane's voice right now?